Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Facebook Live. This is Sana coming to you from Stockholm, and the topic of today's video is how you can make your target audience understand the value of what you're offering when you're selling a service. Okay, so first of all, creating a really good offer means finding the sweet spot. And the sweet spot is what I would say is when the needs of your customers, what they need from you, meet what you have to offer, the value of your services. So your customer needs something, you have something to offer. This is a perfect match. That is the sweet spot. You have many different things to offer. Not all of them will be relevant to your target audience. And your target audience will have many different needs, and you won't be able to meet each and every one of them. So it's important to find that match, to find that sweet spot. And so what this means for you as a service provider is that you have to think about what that value is, right? And this can be a bit of a challenge because when you're in the business of selling services, you don't have anything that you can show. You can have, customer references and you can, have your web page and your social media, but you need to really be able to talk in a very clear way about the value that you offer, even though you can't show it like you're showing some product, like if you're selling fruit, an apple, why is that apple so great? Or if you're selling a sweater, why is that sweater so awesome? So one way that you can do that is to talk about the process that you use when you are executing that service. Now you might think, well, I don't really have a process, I just do things. And I would beg to differ. I'm sure that you do have a process, even though you don't call it that, even though you wouldn't be so bold as to say that it's a method. I'm pretty sure that it is. The reason why it's difficult for you to define that as a process or as a method, it might be because it's so natural to you. It's really part of who you are. It's part of your experience. It's just the way that you do things. So sometimes when we talk about these things, it requires us to sort of pick ourselves apart and say, okay, this way that I have to deal with things, this way that I have to solve a specific problem or work with a client, this is what it looks like. And this is why it's so valuable. It means looking at ourselves from the outside, and that's not always an easy thing. But it's super important because if you talk about your service as a process or as a method, it's going to be, first of all, very clear to the customer what you actually do, like what can they expect from you. So you're managing expectations, and excuse me, chances are it's also going to be much easier for them to really understand the value of what you're offering. So there's several benefits of doing that. And again, I want to challenge you to think about what you do as really being a method. So for example, what you can do to start creating that view of what you do, to start creating that that story about what you do, is you can think about it as a sequence of events, right? Let's say, for example, you're a social entrepreneur. You make things happen. You gather people around your cause. You create action. And so let's say that you have an event that you want to create around your topic. It might be environment, it might be education, something completely different. But you want to gather people around this cause, I'm sorry. So it's important to think about what you usually do then. Do you go brainstorm someplace quiet? Do you talk to the target audience or the people that you want to attract to this event, to potential investors or co-financers? What do you do? How do you create the messages around that event? And how do you go about communicating? How do you put that event together to make it a success? Or for example, if you're like me, if you're a coach, I can talk about myself, for example. If a client comes to me with a problem, this is a very simplified illustration of my process. If a client comes to me with a problem, First, I always start with the end in mind. So what do you want to have achieved when we're done? Second, I want to understand the problem. So I ask lots of questions around what's going on to understand not only what the situation is, but also finding the root causes behind it. And then the third step is to come up with solutions to that problems. And this is something that I do, of course, together with a client. As a coach, you want the client to find the solutions within. And I do I used lots of different techniques here. But for example, asking questions, questioning the answers that the client gives, and bringing new perspectives, really creating as full of you as possible, and not being afraid to use, honest feedback, being supportive, challenging them in like a friendly way. So there are tons of tools that I use, and my method is that. Again, very simplified, but that's just to give you an illustration of how you can talk about the way that you work. So it's important not just for client communication, but also for yourself to be able to talk in a confident way and in a clear way that, again, illustrates the value of what you are offering to your customers. Selling services, it's awesome. I love it. But yes, it does have its challenges. And this thing about intangibility is really one of them. And so you have to bring things to the surface. That's what this topic is all about. So I hope you find this helpful. I want to just end by wishing you an amazing Friday wherever you are. I hope the sun is shining on you, and that you're having an awesome time. Looking forward to the weekend to relax and reboot. I'm sure you deserve it. If you have any questions on this topic, let me know. Or if you want to hear more, I have more to say, and I would love to talk to you more about this. Have an awesome day. All the best. Bye.